The internet woke up in full panic mode after whispers started spreading that new footage had surfaced from a place that was supposed to be sacred and quiet, a funeral, a moment meant for mourning, reflection, and respect. Instead, timelines were flooded with claims that Opps allegedly pulled up at a service connected to BigXThaPlug's circle, sending fans into a spiral of shock, fear, and non-stop speculation. Nobody was saying it outright happened, but the way these reports were circulating made it feel like something dark was brewing beneath the surface. People weren't just scrolling anymore. They were refreshing, replaying clips, zooming in on blurry screenshots, and arguing in comment sections like detectives who thought they cracked a case. Fans are shocked because this wasn't a club, a studio, or a late-night block scene. This was a funeral. According to viral posts and reaction pages, new footage supposedly showed unfamiliar faces lingering, standing too close, watching too hard. Captions screamed danger. Thumbnails teased chaos. Suddenly, a quiet memorial was being framed as a potential flashpoint for retaliation and street justice. Emotions ran high as supporters worried about safety, while others accused blogs of pushing fear for clicks. Nobody could agree on what they were actually seeing, but everyone agreed on one thing: the rumors alone were enough to set the internet on fire. Some fans claimed they recognized faces, others swore the energy felt off. A few insisted the tension was obvious if you knew how to read body language. But then came the pushback. Voices saying slow down, voices reminding everyone that funerals draw crowds, not just friends and family, and that speculation can turn grief into chaos. Still, the narrative kept growing. Each repost added more drama, each reaction video layered on more intensity. The family was left divided between wanting privacy and watching strangers online turn a moment of loss into a trending topic. What really has people hooked isn't just the idea of Opps or danger, it's the question hanging in the air. If this was nothing, why does it feel like something? If it was something, why hasn't anyone confirmed it? And if the footage is being misread, how far can rumors go before they cause real-world consequences? As the story spreads, one thing is clear. This isn't about what's proven, it's about what people think they saw, what they believe could have happened, and why the internet can't stop watching. The moment the funeral footage started circulating across blogs and reaction pages, the tone online shifted from sadness to suspicion almost instantly. What should have been a quiet day of remembrance was suddenly being dissected frame by strangers who had never met anyone involved. Posts claimed there were unfamiliar figures hovering at the edges of the service, people who did not look like family, not close friends, not faces anyone recognized from past photos. Captions didn't say anything directly, but they didn't need to. Words like allegedly, reportedly, and rumors began doing all the heavy lifting, letting imaginations fill in the blanks. Fans are shocked because the idea alone was enough to create fear, even without proof. People close to BigXThaPlug's circle were already emotionally drained. The loss had hit hard, and the funeral was meant to be a moment to breathe, to cry, to support one another without cameras and speculation. But outside that space, the internet was telling a different story. Reaction channels were saying things like, "I'm not saying anything happened, but look at this clip," and zooming in on shaky footage taken from far away. Comments exploded with theories. Some said those men were just locals. Others insisted the body language looked tense. Emotions ran high as fans argued back and forth, each side convinced they were protecting the truth. Inside the circle, the tension was real, even if the rumors weren't confirmed. Grief has a way of sharpening nerves. One friend reportedly whispered, "Why are people recording this?" while another tried to calm him down, saying the phones were everywhere no matter what. Family members felt torn between wanting privacy and knowing that anything connected to the circle was going to draw attention. The family was left divided on how to respond. Some wanted to address the rumors immediately to shut them down. Others believed responding would only feed the fire and make things worse. Online, the narrative kept mutating. One page claimed the footage showed Opps pulling up and leaving quickly. Another page said security had stepped in before anything could happen. Then came posts saying there was no issue at all, that people were just projecting street drama onto a moment of mourning. Fans didn't know who to believe. Emotions ran high because history has taught them that rumors in hip-hop don't always stay rumors. The culture is full of stories where things started with whispers,
ended with tragedy, and that memory made people hyper-aware. Friends of the deceased were reportedly frustrated. One person allegedly said, "This ain't no movie, this is somebody's real life," reacting to how fast the footage was being turned into content. Others tried to remind fans that funerals are public spaces and that not every unfamiliar face is a threat. Still, the damage was already done. The idea had taken root. Even people who believed nothing happened admitted that the energy around the situation felt heavy, not because of danger, but because grief mixed with paranoia can feel just as intense. As the day went on, reaction videos multiplied. Some creators leaned into the drama, using ominous music and dramatic pauses to keep viewers hooked. Others tried to walk the line, repeatedly saying they weren't confirming anything, but then listing reasons why the rumors felt believable. Fans are shocked not just by the claims, but by how easily a funeral could be reframed as a potential crime scene in the court of public opinion. Every pause in the footage, every glance caught on camera, was treated like evidence instead of coincidence. Behind the scenes, people close to BigXThaPlug were reportedly checking on each other, making sure everyone got home safe, not because anything had happened, but because the atmosphere created online was stressful. One friend allegedly said the rumors made it feel like the danger was following them, even if it wasn't real. That's the power of constant speculation. It can make people look over their shoulders even when there's nothing there. The weight of loss was already heavy, and now it was being mixed with anxiety fueled by strangers online. Fans watching from a distance felt conflicted. Some genuinely worried about safety and wanted answers. Others felt uncomfortable consuming content built around a funeral. Comments popped up saying things like, "Let them grieve," while others replied, "We just want to know what's going on." The internet doesn't pause for mourning, and that reality hit hard in this moment. The story kept growing without any official confirmation, driven entirely by reactions, assumptions, and the fear of what could have happened. What made the situation even more complicated was silence. No immediate statements, no clear confirmation. That silence allowed speculation to breathe. People filled it with their own conclusions. Some said the lack of denial meant something was being hidden. Others argued that silence was the most respectful response. The family was left divided in how they felt about the attention, and fans were left divided about what they believed. Emotions ran high because everyone felt invested, even if their information came from shaky clips and secondhand captions. By the end of the day, the funeral itself had almost become secondary to the online narrative. Instead of remembering the life that was lost, timelines were dominated by debates about who was there and why. The tragedy was being overshadowed by rumor-driven drama, and that alone felt like another kind of loss. People close to the situation reportedly felt exhausted, wondering how a moment meant for peace turned into a trending topic filled with suspicion. The footage didn't prove anything, but the reaction to it proved how fast grief can be hijacked by fear and speculation when the internet decides a story needs to be bigger than the truth. The moment those clips started popping up on blogs and reaction pages, the mood around the funeral shifted in a way nobody expected. What was meant to be a private goodbye suddenly felt like it was under a microscope. Shaky videos, zoom screenshots, and slow-motion replays flooded timelines with captions that never said anything directly but hinted at everything. People kept using words like allegedly and reportedly, letting fear do the rest. Fans are shocked because the idea of tension at a funeral connected to BigXThaPlug's circle felt disrespectful and dangerous at the same time. Nobody wanted to believe it, but nobody could ignore how fast the rumors were spreading. Grief was already heavy among those closest to the situation. The funeral was supposed to be the one place where emotions could breathe without cameras, without commentary, without speculation. Instead, phones were out everywhere, not just from attendees, but from people outside the circle watching from afar. Reaction channels began saying things like they were not confirming anything, but that the footage felt off. They pointed to unfamiliar faces standing apart, people not crying, people watching more than mourning. Emotions ran high as viewers argued whether that even meant anything. Some said funerals always have unfamiliar faces. Others insisted the energy looked tense. Inside the circle, the atmosphere was already fragile. Losing someone changes how everything feels. Small things become big, glances feel loaded, silence feels loud. One person reportedly muttered
under their breath about how uncomfortable it felt to see strangers recording. Another tried to calm them, saying that attention comes with the territory, and there was nothing anyone could do about it. The family was left divided between wanting to protect the moment and feeling powerless to stop the internet from doing what it always does. As the clips continued circulating, the captions grew more dramatic. Some pages implied that certain individuals showed up just to be seen. Others suggested security had to keep an eye on the crowd. None of it was confirmed, but the wording was enough to spark imagination. Fans are shocked not because anything was proven, but because the situation tapped into a familiar fear. Hip-hop history is full of moments where mourning and violence crossed paths, and that memory lives in the background of every rumor like this. Friends of the deceased reportedly felt a mix of anger and sadness watching the speculation unfold. One person allegedly said that people were turning a real loss into content without thinking about the consequences. Another said the constant replaying of the footage made it feel like the moment would never end. Emotions ran high because grief was being interrupted by paranoia, and that combination is exhausting. Even people who believed the rumors were exaggerated admitted the constant noise made it harder to focus on healing. Fans watching from home were split. Some demanded answers, saying transparency would calm everyone down. Others pushed back hard, saying the family didn't owe the internet anything. Comment sections turned into arguments about respect, safety, and responsibility. One side said ignoring the rumors could be risky. The other said feeding them would only make things worse.
The family was left divided not because of what happened at the funeral, but because of how the world reacted to it afterward. Reaction videos kept stacking up. Creators used dramatic music, paused at key moments, and asked questions they knew viewers would obsess over. They would say things like, "Look at how this person steps back," or "Notice how everyone goes quiet here." Fans are shocked at how easily normal human behavior can be framed as something sinister when slowed down and analyzed by strangers. Every clip felt like it added another layer to a story that might not even exist beyond the screen. Behind closed doors, people close to BigXThaPlug were reportedly checking in with each other more than usual, not because something happened, but because the rumors made it feel like something could happen. That's the power of constant speculation. It creates tension where there might not be any. One friend allegedly said the internet was making them feel like danger was following them, even though nothing had gone down. Grief already makes people feel vulnerable, and rumors magnify that vulnerability. Some fans tried to bring the focus back to what mattered. They posted messages about remembering the life that was lost, about respecting the family's space. Those posts, however, were often drowned out by louder voices chasing the next twist. Emotions ran high because the internet rarely slows down for mourning. It looks for movement, conflict, and fear, and if it doesn't find it, it imagines it. That imagination can feel just as real to the people consuming it. Silence from the inner circle only fueled the conversation. Some took it as a sign that there was nothing to address. Others took it as proof that something was being hidden. The lack of clear answers created a vacuum, and speculation rushed in to fill it. The family was left divided on whether staying quiet was protecting their peace or letting others control the narrative. Fans were left divided on whether to trust their instincts or wait for facts that might never come. By the time the day ended, the funeral itself felt almost overshadowed. Instead of being remembered solely as a moment of farewell, it had become a backdrop for online theories and debates. People close to the situation reportedly felt drained, wondering how a space meant for closure turned into a source of anxiety. Nothing concrete had been proven, but the emotional impact was real. The footage didn't show violence, yet the reaction to it showed how quickly grief can be reshaped into fear when rumors take the lead, and the internet decides a story needs more drama than truth. As the online chatter grew louder, the story began to take on a life of its own, stretching far beyond the actual footage that sparked it. People weren't just reacting anymore, they were building narratives. One post would suggest that certain faces in the crowd didn't belong, and the next would claim those same faces had history, motives, and silent intentions. Fans are shocked at how quickly speculation can feel like fact when it's repeated enough times. Every repost added confidence to claims that were never verified, and every comment section turned into a courtroom.
Strangers argued over evidence that didn't exist. Within the circle, emotions were already fragile. Grief has a way of making people hyper-aware of their surroundings. A normal glance can feel like a stare. Silence can feel threatening. According to chatter online, some attendees were seen scanning the crowd more than usual, and that alone became fuel for rumors. Reaction pages pointed it out, saying things like, "Look how alert they seem," as if grief doesn't naturally make people cautious. Emotions ran high because people wanted to protect what was left, even if the threat was imagined. Friends of the family reportedly felt caught in the middle. On one hand, they wanted to reassure supporters that nothing had happened. On the other, they knew that denying rumors sometimes only makes them louder. One person close to the situation allegedly said it felt like playing defense against ghosts. There was nothing concrete to respond to, just vibes and theories being passed off as insight. The family was left divided on whether addressing the noise would calm things down or drag them deeper into the mess. Meanwhile, fans kept digging. Some started pulling up old photos, comparing outfits, pointing out who stood where and for how long. Others claimed to hear tension in background audio that was barely audible. Fans are shocked at how far people were willing to go to prove a point that might not even matter. The focus drifted further away from mourning and closer to entertainment, and that shift made a lot of people uncomfortable, even as they continued watching. Reaction creators played a huge role in shaping the mood. Some genuinely tried to be careful, reminding viewers that nothing was confirmed. Others leaned into suspense, asking leading questions that planted ideas without making claims. Phrases like, "I'm not saying this is true," kept popping up, followed by 10 minutes of speculation. Emotions ran high because that style of commentary feeds curiosity while avoiding responsibility. It leaves viewers feeling like they know something dangerous without actually knowing anything at all. Behind the scenes, people close to the situation were reportedly checking with organizers and security, not because anything went wrong, but because the rumors made it feel necessary. One friend allegedly said they hated that the internet made them second-guess a moment that was supposed to bring closure. Grief was already heavy, and now it came with a layer of anxiety that didn't belong there. Even walking to a car afterward felt different when the internet was screaming about danger. Fans watching from afar felt a strange sense of involvement. Some said they were just concerned. Others admitted they were drawn to the drama. Comment sections reflected that divide.
Messages like, "Let them grieve," sat right next to comments asking why certain people were even allowed there. The family was left divided not by what happened in real life, but by how outsiders interpreted it. That divide didn't come from within, but it still affected everyone involved. As hours passed, the original clips were reposted so many times that context was lost. Cropped versions removed peaceful moments and highlighted only still frames that looked tense. Fans are shocked at how editing choices can change perception. A normal pause became suspicious. A quiet moment became ominous. The story no longer depended on reality, only on what fit the narrative that was performing best online. Some voices tried to slow things down. A few creators reminded viewers that funerals often have security, unfamiliar faces, and heightened emotions. They pointed out that none of the footage showed confrontation or chaos. Emotions ran high in response, with some viewers accusing those creators of covering things up, while others thanked them for bringing balance. The internet rarely agrees on anything, and this situation was no different. Inside the circle, the silence continued. No statements, no clarifications, no dramatic responses. That silence was intentional for some, exhausting for others. One person reportedly felt that saying nothing was the only way to protect their peace. Another felt the rumors were disrespectful enough to deserve a response. The family was left divided on approach, not because of conflict, but because grief affects everyone differently. Some people want to shut the world out, others want to correct it. The longer the rumors lived, the more they started influencing how people remembered the funeral itself. Instead of recalling shared tears and quiet prayers, many now associated the day with anxiety and online chaos. Fans are shocked that a moment meant to honor a life could be reframed so quickly by people who weren't even there. That realization sparked conversations about boundaries, about how much access the internet should have to private grief. As night fell, the chatter didn't slow down. New posts claimed new angles, new interpretations,
Insider takes. None of them added real information, but they kept the story alive. Emotions ran high because the situation felt unresolved, even though there was nothing officially unresolved at all. The lack of answers created a hunger for meaning, and the internet is never patient when meaning isn't handed to it. By the end of the day, the rumors had done their damage without ever being proven. They didn't cause a confrontation, but they caused stress, doubt, and frustration. People close to the situation reportedly felt drained, wishing the focus could return to remembrance instead of speculation. Nothing had happened, yet everything felt heavy. That's the strange power of rumor culture. It doesn't need facts to leave an impact. It only needs attention, repetition, and an audience ready to believe that something must be wrong if everyone keeps talking about it. As the rumors refused to die down, the emotional weight around the situation started shifting in a way that surprised even the people closest to it. What began as outside speculation slowly crept inward, affecting conversations, moods, and decisions. Grief doesn't exist in a vacuum, and when it gets mixed with constant online noise, it can start to feel like pressure closing in from all sides. Fans are shocked at how something that may not have happened could still cause real emotional consequences for real people. People close to the circle reportedly started replaying the day in their minds, questioning moments that felt normal at the time. Who stood where, who spoke to who arrived early, and who left late. None of it meant anything when it was happening, but once the internet labeled the footage as suspicious, every memory felt open to reinterpretation. Emotions ran high because no one wants to feel like danger brushed past them without their knowledge, even if that danger was never confirmed. Some friends allegedly expressed frustration with how quickly blogs framed the narrative. One person was said to have remarked that it felt like grief was being used as a backdrop for suspense, as if mourning needed a villain to stay interesting. Others tried to brush it off, saying the internet would move on soon enough. But the constant reposts made that hard to believe. Every few hours, a new angle would pop up, bringing the conversation right back. Fans watching the situation unfold began choosing sides, even though there were no clear sides to choose. Some defended the idea that people were just being cautious, saying awareness isn't a bad thing. Others pushed back, arguing that turning a funeral into a rumor mill was crossing a line. The family was left divided in how they felt about the attention. Some felt supported by the concern. Others felt invaded by it. Emotions ran high because everyone was reacting from a place of feeling, not facts. Reaction creators continued dissecting the footage, sometimes contradicting each other entirely. One would say the vibe looked tense, another would say it looked calm. Fans are shocked at how confidently people can speak on the same clip and come away with opposite conclusions. That contradiction didn't stop the content from spreading. If anything, it made it spread more. Conflict keeps people watching, and this story had plenty of it without ever showing a single act of confrontation. Behind the scenes, conversations reportedly became more guarded. People close to the circle were said to be checking their surroundings more, not because of an actual threat, but because perception can be powerful. When the world tells you to be afraid, it's hard not to listen. One friend allegedly admitted that the rumors made them feel uneasy even in familiar places. Grief already leaves people vulnerable, and speculation magnifies that vulnerability into something heavier.
Some fans started questioning the ethics of sharing funeral footage at all. Posts began circulating asking why moments of mourning were being recorded and reposted without consent. Others countered that public figures lose privacy automatically. Emotions ran high in those debates, with no clear resolution. The internet thrives on access, but this situation forced people to confront whether access should always be exercised. Inside the family, the emotional divide reportedly deepened, not because of disagreement, but because everyone processed the situation differently. One relative allegedly wanted to release a simple statement asking for respect and calm. Another felt that any statement would only validate the rumors. The family was left divided between wanting to protect the truth and wanting to protect their peace. Neither choice felt right, and that tension added another layer to an already painful time. As days passed, the narrative began to shift slightly. Instead of asking what happened, people started asking why the rumors mattered so much. Fans are shocked at how quickly attention moved from loss to speculation, and some began calling it out
directly. Comments appeared saying that the focus should be on remembering a life, not inventing drama around a funeral. Those voices were growing, but they were still competing with louder ones chasing suspense. The constant noise also affected how the wider community viewed the situation. People who had nothing to do with the funeral began associating it with danger simply because that's how it was framed online. Perception became reality in the minds of outsiders. Emotions ran high because the reputation of a moment was being shaped by people who weren't present. Once a narrative sticks, it's hard to peel it back, even when there's nothing solid underneath it. Some creators tried to pivot the conversation toward reflection. They spoke about how rumors can escalate, how grief deserves boundaries, and how not every situation needs a villain. Fans are shocked at how refreshing that approach felt compared to constant speculation. Still, those videos didn't perform the same way as the dramatic ones. That contrast revealed an uncomfortable truth about what the algorithm rewards. Within the circle, there was a quiet understanding forming. Regardless of whether the rumors faded or not, the emotional impact had already landed. The funeral would always be remembered, not just for the goodbye, but for the chaos that followed online. One person reportedly said it felt like the internet stole a piece of their closure. Emotions ran high because closure is fragile, and once disrupted, it's hard to rebuild. As the conversation stretched on, fatigue set in. People were tired of defending moments that never needed defending, tired of explaining that grief doesn't always look calm on camera, tired of seeing strangers argue over vibes and assumptions. Fans are shocked at how draining it can be to watch something spiral without resolution. The story had no new footage, no confirmations, no arrests, no statements, yet it refused to disappear. By this point, the rumors had become more about the internet than the funeral itself. They exposed how quickly speculation can turn into collective anxiety. Nothing violent had occurred, yet the emotional toll was undeniable. People close to the situation reportedly wished the attention would move on, not because there was something to hide, but because there was something to heal. The situation showed that even without action, words and assumptions alone can reshape how a moment is remembered, leaving behind tension where there should have been peace. By the time the conversation reached its peak, the focus had almost completely drifted away from the actual funeral and toward what the internet wanted the moment to represent. The rumors had grown so large that they began shaping emotions on their own, independent of reality. People weren't reacting to events anymore, they were reacting to narratives. Fans are shocked at how quickly a story with no confirmed incident could still feel unresolved, like something was left hanging even though nothing officially occurred. Within the wider community, the situation became a case study in how grief and speculation collide. Some supporters admitted they felt anxious simply because everyone else seemed anxious. Fear became contagious. When enough voices say something feels off, that feeling starts to settle in, even without proof. Emotions ran high as people tried to reconcile logic with instinct. Logic said there was no verified issue. Instinct, fueled by endless posts and videos, whispered that silence meant danger. People close to BigXThaPlug's circle were reportedly exhausted by this stage, not physically, but emotionally. Every notification felt heavy. Every mention of the funeral brought back not just sadness, but frustration. One person allegedly said it felt like the internet refused to let the moment rest. Instead of allowing grief to fade naturally into memory, it was being kept alive in an artificial state of tension. Fans continued debating responsibility. Some argued that creators should never have framed the footage the way they did. Others said viewers are responsible for how they interpret things. The family was left divided in how they felt about blame. Some felt anger toward blogs and reaction channels. Others believe the system itself encourages this kind of behavior and that no single person was at fault. Emotions ran high because assigning blame doesn't always bring relief, but it can feel necessary when something sacred feels violated. As time passed, newer audiences began discovering the story without any original context. They didn't see a funeral first, they saw a headline about panic and rumors. That framing shaped their entire understanding. Fans are shocked at how first impressions online can rewrite events before facts ever have a chance to settle. For those viewers, the funeral was already associated with danger, even if that danger never existed outside speculation. Some members of the community attempted to shift
narrative toward healing. Posts began emphasizing respect, asking people to stop sharing clips, reminding everyone that families read comments too.
Those messages carried weight, but they struggled to compete with sensational content. Emotions ran high in those moments because it became clear that empathy doesn't always travel as fast as fear. Inside the circle, there was reportedly a quiet agreement forming. No matter what the internet decided, they would choose how they remembered the day. Some spoke about focusing on the love shown, the people who came together, the shared tears and prayers. Others admitted that the rumors had permanently altered their memory, adding a layer of unease that shouldn't have been there. The family was left divided, not in conflict, but in experience. The same day lived differently in each person's mind. The story also sparked broader conversations about access and boundaries. People questioned whether every moment connected to public figures should be treated as public property. Fans are shocked at how normalized it has become to analyze private grief as entertainment. That realization made some uncomfortable with their own curiosity. Others shrugged it off, saying, "This is just how the internet works now." Emotions ran high because both perspectives felt true at the same time. As weeks went on, the intensity slowly began to fade, not because answers arrived, but because attention moved elsewhere. The internet found new stories, new rumors, new moments to dissect. Yet the impact lingered for those involved. People close to the situation reportedly felt a sense of quiet relief as the noise died down, mixed with sadness that the funeral could never be separated from the chaos that followed. Fans looking back started to see the pattern more clearly. A clip surfaces, speculation explodes, emotions escalate, facts lag behind. By the time clarity could arrive, the internet has already moved on. Fans are shocked at how predictable that cycle feels, yet how powerless it is once it starts. Knowing the pattern doesn't stop it from repeating. For many, the biggest takeaway wasn't about Opps, danger, or even rumors. It was about how quickly grief can be reshaped by outsiders. A moment meant for closure became a lesson in how attention can distort reality. Emotions ran high not because of what happened at the funeral, but because of what happened after it, on screens far removed from the actual event. People close to BigXThaPlug's circle reportedly hoped that the conversation would eventually return to honoring life instead of dissecting shadows. The absence of confirmation never stopped speculation, but it did highlight something important. Sometimes the loudest stories are built on the quietest moments. Sometimes nothing happening is still turned into something. As the narrative finally began to cool, what remained was a complicated emotional residue. Grief mixed with frustration, relief mixed with disappointment. The family was left divided, not by conflict, but by the different ways the internet had touched their mourning. Fans were left divided between believing they were staying informed and realizing they might have crossed a line. In the end, the rumors did not reveal a hidden confrontation or a dramatic escalation. Instead, they revealed how powerful suggestion can be. A few clips, some careful wording, and a lot of repetition were enough to create widespread panic without a single confirmed incident. Fans are shocked at how thin the line is between awareness and anxiety. The funeral passed, the day ended, life continued, but the lesson lingered. In an age where every moment can be replayed, slowed down, and reimagined, peace is fragile. Sometimes the most dramatic thing that happens is not an action, but a reaction, and sometimes the loudest chaos exists only in the space between what people saw and what they thought it meant. Now that you've heard how this story unfolded online, the question isn't just about what people claim to see. It's about how fast rumors can turn into panic when emotion and speculation collide. You saw how a moment meant for mourning was pulled into the spotlight and reshaped by headlines, reactions, and assumptions. Nothing here was confirmed as fact, yet the impact was real for the people involved and for the fans watching from the outside. So now it's on you. Do you think the internet crossed a line by turning funeral footage into suspense-driven content, or do you believe people were simply being cautious and reacting out of concern? Was this just another case of blogs chasing engagement, or does silence always invite suspicion in moments like this? Emotions ran high on every side, and everyone walked away with a different version of the same day. Drop your thoughts in the comments and let your voice be part of the conversation. Keep it respectful, keep it honest, and remember that real people are affected by how these stories are told. If you think
the rumors were overblown, say why. If you think questions still need answers, explain your perspective. This space is for discussion, not attacks. If you want more deep dives into viral moments like this, where headlines don't always tell the full story, make sure you like this video so it reaches more people who care about context. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future breakdowns, updates, and commentary on stories that are moving the culture and sparking debate. And most importantly, share this video if you believe conversations like this should focus on awareness without turning grief into entertainment. Stay tapped in, stay thoughtful, and stay respectful. The story doesn't end with rumors. It continues with how we choose to react to them.